Trump and his generals have just confirmed that the attack on Iran is to fulfill the Bible prophecy and bring Armageddon forth. Several servicemen have come forward with official complaints that their commanders have told them they should fight fiercely because this war is to bring the prophesied Armageddon, and that this is the official and true reason for this war, as directed by the Commander-in-Chief. We will show you all the proof. Let's talk about it.
Let's take a look at these articles that came out a few hours ago. So, commanders accused of framing Iran war as biblical mandate Jesus return. U.S. commander said Trump anointed by Jesus to attack Iran. Report. U.S. troops told Iran war is God's plan to trigger Armageddon. Watchdog says. I've opened one of these articles and let's take a look. Commanders accused of framing Iran war as biblical mandate, Jesus return. An organization that has been fighting against religious extremism in the United States military for 2 decades has reported more than 200 new complaints since Saturday's initial strikes against Iran, with members across all services claiming that high-ranking officers are tying the mission overseas to fulfill a Christian prophecy. A combat unit commander told non-commissioned officers at a briefing Monday that the Iran war is part of God's plan and that President Donald Trump was anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to Earth. According to independent journalist Jonathan Larson, as published on Substack, that complaint was made by a non-commissioned officer and provided to the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, MRFF, which from Saturday morning through Monday evening received and logged more than 110 complaints about commanders in every branch of the military. That number as of Tuesday grew by double. It's well in excess of 200 complaints, as well in excess of 50 installations. They are continuing to come in everywhere. A Pentagon spokesperson, when asked about the complaints and the ties to the ongoing mission in the Middle East, did not directly respond to the question. Instead, they referred military.com to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's remarks made Monday about the United States' intentions. The complaints remain anonymous due to fear of retribution by the Defense Department, of course, because they're probably thinking, what the heck is going on? Jesus and his return to Earth. One complainant, according to Larson, identified themselves as a non-commissioned officer, NCO, in a unit currently outside the Iran combat zone. However, they are ready support status, where they could be deployed at any moment to join and augment combat operations. That individual is a self-described Christian who emailed MRFF on behalf of 15 troops that included at least 11 Christians, 1 Muslim and 1 Jew. That NCO's commander described in an email from the NCO to MRFF and shared with Larson was described as a Christian first member of the military who urged troops not to be afraid of what is currently taking place in Iran. Quote, he urged us to tell our troops that this was all part of God's divine plan, and he specifically referenced numerous citations out of the book of Revelation referring to Armageddon and the imminent return of Jesus Christ. The NCO wrote in the email, he said that President Trump has been anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to Earth. Crazy. The NCO added that the commander supposedly had a big grin on his face when he said all of this, which made his message seem even more crazy. what we've been saying forever. If you look back in history, whenever you've merged any sort of religious fanaticism with the machinery of the state that conducts war, we do not end up with little babbling books, creeks, streams, ponds, or lakes. We end up with one thing: oceans and oceans of blood, Weinstein said. As previously reported by military.com, complaints have been submitted to MRFF for months in response to Christian prayer services led by HEXF being held monthly in the Pentagon and communicated via email correspondence, not only to military personnel but also defense contractors. Why is anybody surprised? HEXF makes it clear, here's the template that we want, Weinstein said, that fully encourages one of those Christian nationalists, commanders and members of the chain of command, whether they believe it or not, they know it's a way to get ahead, to try to rationalize the mission. Weinstein, a U.S. Air Force veteran, said the mixed messaging coming from President Donald Trump, HEXF, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and other top administration officials on why the strikes against Iran happened in the first place is a reason to find a new rationale. First, it was supposed to be to stop them with their nuclear program, which we apparently supposedly destroyed last summer. Yeah, exactly. Trump lied. Then it was to make them regime change, and then we're going to punish them because they helped ISIS and Al-Qaeda and many others to create IEDs that blew us up during our fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan with all their proxies. Weinstein, who for many years along with his spouse has received countless death threats and has been harassed, said the latest received complaints led to him contacting his local police force should he be targeted for his remarks or sharing information from active duty personnel that doesn't align with the views of Trump's administration officials. Crazy stuff. Crazy, insane stuff. And as we see, that's not the only article out there. That's not the only news outlet that's reporting that. Like, for example, TRT World is a known news publishing company. Yeah, more than 200 complaints alleged military commanders framed U.S. strikes on Iran as part of a biblical prophecy invoking the Book of Revelation and describing Trump as divinely anointed, according to the Military Religious Freedom Foundation. Yeah, and U.S. commander said Trump anointed by Jesus to attack Iran. The Guardian also reports this. How insane is this? Yeah, pretty much they're saying the same thing.
So somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. But Israel didn't follow his advice. And I think it was a very, the Middle East is rapidly changing. You know, there are prophets that say the world will come to an end in the Middle East. You know that, right? And we have weapons today that are so scary. When you look, I rebuilt them all.
But this is where things get really strange. Multiple reports are coming out claiming that U.S. troops were told, listen to me, that this war is part of God's plan and that Donald Trump was anointed to bring in Armageddon. I'm not kidding. Yeah. Let that one marinate just for a second. There's been multiple complaints, right? Formal complaints reportedly being filed by service members claiming that commanders framed the war with Iran as some kind of biblical mandate. This is from military.com. According to the complaints, troops were told this conflict is part of God's plan. Listen to me now, part of God's plan and tied into the book of Revelation. One claim even says that the commander stated that Donald Trump was anointed by Jesus Christ to light the signal fire in Iran to bring about Armageddon. Now listen, I'm a Christian. I follow Jesus Christ. But this right here, this is exactly the kind of stuff that turns Christianity into political propaganda. And that's dangerous, because when you start telling soldiers that war is literally part of God's prophecy, you're not making a military argument anymore. You're making a religious crusade argument. And misusing or misrepresenting what the Bible says, what the teachings are for this military-industrial complex war is, just blasphemy, truthfully. It's crazy, but it's a problem. Evangelicals treat this man like he's the fourth member of the Trinity. And that's insane. Trump is not Jesus Christ. He is a politician from New York who spent half of his life in casinos and reality television and hanging out with Jeffy Epi. But here's the big question nobody seems to be able to answer right now. What exactly is this war really about? Because the official narrative keeps shifting. It does. First nuclear weapons, then it becomes election fraud, then it becomes freeing the Iranian people. Now it was the destroy the Navy. Which one is it? And now we're hearing talk about biblical prophecy.
We have talked a whole lot about this coming of the Christ and the Antichrist and went in with extensive details. If you want to see it, watch this video here to learn all about it. And please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.